Hey y'all, it's Heel Heat time.
Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles and this is our TNA show for the week. Let's jump right into it. Now, the format, TNA, you're killing me. You're killing the format of my show. If you've seen last week, we had to skip over the bad and the so-so segments. And goddammit, we have to do it again. We're going right into the question of the week. The question of the week from last week was a simple one. What is your favorite move? First is from our friend Zombies40. He puts the Canadian Destroyer flipping pile driver by P.D. Williams was my favorite wrestling move ever. It was just amazing to see him made every other finisher look generic by comparison. Great move. I enjoyed it. There's some people that do it I don't like. P.D. Williams hits a very crisp, clean version of it. I've seen some other guys do it that mess it up pretty bad, but it's a good move. I enjoy it too. Next is from our friend Silver84. I'd have to say Jack Evans' 630 splash is my favorite move. Even though he was in TNA for just a few shows back in 2011, that finisher ad was pretty freaking awesome. Definitely agree. Jack Evans, if you're not familiar with him, a very underrated talent in the world of wrestling. Probably one of the most athletically gifted wrestlers there's ever been. I believe he was an acrobat, if I'm not mistaken, before turning to the world of wrestling. Pretty sure he does a lot of stuff with AAA, or at least the last time I heard of him he did, down in Mexico. He's been in Ring of Honor, he's been in TNA, he's been in Japan. Just a great wrestler, a very underrated talent in my opinion. He's never really had that mainstream American exposure as of yet. Now coming off of that, we're going to go into my favorite moves. And I actually am torn, so I had to pick two. My favorite move for a tag team is the 3D. Every time I see the 3D, I mark out like it's the first time. It's just an amazing move with some great timing, put on by what I consider the greatest tag team of all time. Now my other favorite move is my favorite singles move, and that's the Asian Mist, Poison Fog, whatever you want to call it. Basically invented by the great Kabuki, revolutionized by him, the great Muda, Yoshihiro Tajiri. Comes out in different forms: red mist, green mist, blue mist, yellow mist, purple mist, black mist. Look it up on the internet. Each one does something different. I just thought, to me, visually, it's such a cool move, and the different things it does, anywhere from blinding to making you have memory loss to total paralyzation. Just the different complexities of it and what each thing means is it's just cool. Especially, I mainly tie it to Muda. That's the guy that I think of shooting the mist, and with an aura like he has and a move like that, it just, to me, makes a move something very special. Now coming off of that, we're going to go into our question of the week for this week. And it is, what is your favorite defunct wrestling organization? Basically, what I mean by that is if it's a company that no longer runs wrestling shows, they're done, they're kaput, their library could be bought by Vince, doesn't have to be, could be something, could be a local organization that you used to love to go to, could be one of the big ones that used to run in opposition of the WWE. Let us know what you think. Hit us up on Facebook, hit us up on Twitter, put it down where? Down there in the comments. Now we're going to go into the good segment of the night. And just like last week, I really didn't think anything on the show was bad or even so-so. I thought everything was good, everything served a purpose. First we have Bobby Roode versus MVP, a culmination of their feud. I thought it was a good match. I thought Bobby Roode winning in pretty solid fashion. I enjoyed it. It kept the storyline where it needed to be. Eric Young and Kenny King getting involved keeps the storyline going. I thought it was good. I thought it moved it along. Good match. Solid way to start off. Sends us right into our next thing. Jeff Hardy standing in the ring, calls out and brings out his brother Matt, reuniting the Hardy Boys, who put TNA on notice that they're going for the tag team title, which Matt asks the Wolves to come out, Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards. The mutual respect is shown. Next week we have a World Tag Team title match. Now, I'm not a fan of the Hardys. They're not my favorites. They're not the best on the microphone. The comeback of Matt coming back and reforming the Hardys and going up against the American Wolves, or the Wolves, in this kind of order, to me it makes it interesting. Like I said, I don't necessarily have to be a fan of somebody for me to find a segment enjoying. This was an enjoyable segment. The possibilities it sets up going forward, even more so. Now, coming off of that, we had the Bromans back together. Robbie's back after his foray into the Amazing Race, which sets up a match with DJZ, Zema Ion versus Low-Key returning. Low-Key picks up the win after a very competitive match. This, again, this is why the six-sided ring is special for guys like Low-Key and DJZ, guys that could take it and use it to innovate and make new offensive maneuvers and new ways to do old offensive maneuvers. It was a good match, really awesome. Great to see Low-Key back in TNA. Great to see Low-Key back in America. He's been teetering on wanting to retire for the past couple of years. Happy he came back, and I think it's going to add a lot of fresh matches to not only the X Division, but TNA in general, with one of what I would consider one of TNA's absolute legends. Now, speaking of the tag division that we did earlier, we have a tag match coming up. Bram and Magnus versus Mr. Anderson and Gunner. Before the match, we see Gunner tell Sammy Shaw to stay in the back and don't get involved. Bram and Magnus pick up the win. After the match, they go to using weapons to beat down Anderson and Gunner, which brings out Shaw, who protects Gunner, gets hit in the ring, hit in the stomach with the metal ring, I guess a metal turnbuckle holder. I don't know what the official term for it's called, but he gets hit with that. The Bram and Magnus keep tearing up all the good guys until Abyss comes out and runs them off, basically. I thought it was cool. I thought Samuel Shaw coming out to save them, even though he was told not to, I think it's going to help the storyline with him and Anderson maybe coming together. But we'll see going forward. Again, just something I thought was really cool. I like the team of Bram and Magnus. I like what they're doing with them. I think it's a good team. I think they could move up. They kind of remind me of the Acolytes, the Legion of Doom, a team that just goes out there and it's no nonsense, doesn't really care about wins or losses, just wants to beat you down. Next up, Kurt Angle in the ring, and he brings out Austin Aries to see if Austin Aries wants to use option C. He does decide to, cashes in the X title. We have Lashley and MVP out there. Aries cuts one hell of a promo on both of them, setting up the match for next week, which will be a Destination X special on TNA. What can you say about Austin Aries that hasn't been said? The guy is magic on the mic and amazing in the ring. I think he's one of TNA's top talents, and he needs to be ushered in and used as such, and this was a way to prove again and again that he is that top level guy there. Now, coming off of that, we had a third match in a trilogy that I was really excited to see, Taryn Terrell versus Gail Kim. However, before the match really got into any kind of flow or action, the beautiful people come out and attack both of them. Most likely what we're going to see is Taryn and Gail teaming up to face the Beautiful People, which I have no problem with. I think that's going to produce amazing matches as well. I did make an observation that I never thought of before in all the years of watching Taryn Terrell, and I might be crazy. You can put in comments if you think I'm crazy about this, or if you agree with me. Taryn Terrell looks like Penny from The Big Bang Theory. Just an observation I had when she was out there. She just reminded me of her. For some reason, something she did, she made one of the faces that Penny makes on the show, and just they have a very similar look. So just throwing it out there. Every once in a while, something like that weird comes into my brain. Now, speaking about weird, we get the entrance of the Great Muta, who very rarely wrestles on American soil, let alone on free American television. Tonight his opponent is Robbie E. Muta's Muta, guys. He comes out, it's special every time. To me, he's on par with a guy like The Undertaker, where every time you see the Great Muta, and I don't know, maybe if I would lived in Japan and seen more of him in his Japan stuff, I wouldn't feel this way. But every time I see the Great Muta, it's special. And it feels like a special event. And he has an aura and the way he moves around the ring and the talent he has in wrestling. There's only one Great Muta, and he showed it on the show. He gets the win over Robbie E., which brings out James Storm, who starts to attack Muta, which we see Sonata, who we think is going to save Muta. They run Storm off. Sonata turns on the Great Muta, thus setting up a future student versus teacher feud, which are always fun. And last but not least, the main event of the evening. Ethan Carter III, Rockstar Spud and Rhino versus Devon, Bully Ray, Team 3D, and Tommy Dreamer in a New York City street fight. Thought it was an awesome match. I thought everybody in the match more than held up on their part of the bargain. I thought everything was awesome going all the way through. Then at the end, we get Ezekiel Jackson, who they said formerly known as Ezekiel Jackson, so who knows what they're actually going to call them, and Gene Snitsky, which they can call him because that's his real name, come out and attack the faces, attack 3D and Tommy Dreamer, thus screwing them out of getting their redemption against Spud, EC3, and Rhino. Dixie Carter comes out to brag with her personal security, King Mo. I thought it was great. I thought it progresses the storyline more. I think you're kind of taking the fans where, and this is what old school wrestling used to do. You get the fans where, okay, they're finally going to get them. Oh, they got screwed again. Then they build it up. They're getting them. Oh, they got screwed again. Then they build it up and build it up and build it up. They're going to get them. Now they're just going to end up getting screwed. They're going to end up getting screwed. And you're thinking this the whole time. And then, bam, they get them. And finally, the shock value of it brings you in. And that's what kind of story that I think they're telling with this. I think it's awesome. I love the interaction of all these guys. Tommy Dreamer and Team 3D are near and dear to my heart, as well as Rhino. I think it was awesome. I thought it was a great segment to end a great show. Now, coming off of that, we're going to go into our ratings. Now, if you've seen the show before, we have a 1 to 5 scale. 1's a Dixie Carter, 2's a Rockstar Spud, 3 is a Gunner, 4 is a James Storm, 5 is a Bobby Roode. Last week, if you've seen the show, every once in a while we have a rare occasion where it's above a 5, and we give it a special rating, which basically is off the charts. And we gave this one, last week's, a Shawn Michaels, which means that one was off the charts. Now this one also deserves that. However, never in the history of Heel Heat on any of our shows, WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor, NXT, have we had 2 shows that have gone above the 5 rating back to back. This is the first time since I've been doing this show that that's happened. So I figured if that happens, we need to create a special category for that. Because we had to create a special category when we didn't think that 5 was enough to say how good of a show it was. So we created the Shawn Michaels category. Now, if you have, and I'm going to say it right now, if you go 2 weeks in a row where you go beyond what the 1 to 5 scale, where you put 2 shows in a row that are beyond that, from now on, henceforth, that will be known as a Road Warriors or a Legion of Doom. So this show, to me, gets a Legion of Doom. First time ever, back-to-back shows that were so good that I didn't think even rating them, my highest rating was justifiable on how good they were. Thoroughly enjoyable few shows in a row. TNA has been on fire for about a month or so, maybe even longer. I just think they're hitting on all cylinders. They're using a good mix of legends, current talent, and up-and-coming stars. I think they're firing on what they need to fire. I hope they can keep this up, and I hope TNA can keep going forward as a viable option. But basically, that's all I have to say about that. My name is George Coles, and this has been another episode of Heel Heat.